Simon & Schuster Audio presents Scream With Me, Horror Films and the Rise of American Feminism, 1968 to 1980, by Eleanor Johnson. Read by Arndt with the author.
This book is dedicated to my mentor, Lynn Haginian, 1941 to 2024. You wrote your name in every one of his books. Introduction. In spring 2022, I was preparing a lecture on Rosemary's Baby for my History of Horror class. As I watched the film for the umpteenth time, I experienced vertigo. Watching Rosemary get raped and impregnated by Satan, watching her be controlled and abused by her husband and neighbors, watching her husband grab her and shake her for not adhering to the restrictive regimen that he and the neighbors had endorsed throughout her agonizing pregnancy. All I could see in the film was a parable about the dangers of denying women their reproductive agency. So, I wrote my lecture about Rosemary's Baby, reproductive control, and the history of abortion rights in New York State, where the film is set and where I teach. I taught the film as reproductive horror, in which the monstrous, horrific acts in question all have to do with a woman's sexual and reproductive autonomy, or rather, with the violation of her sexual and reproductive autonomy. It was the best lecture I gave that semester. By the end, many of my students were in tears, and so was I. The next day, the U.S. Supreme Court leaked its intention to reverse Roe v. Wade. I cried again, and much harder this time. And then I did what I always do when I get alarmed about a social or political situation. I turned to art. This time, I turned specifically to horror. Now, this turn to art may seem avoidant or apolitical. For me, it's anything but. I have long believed and long argued, both in my teaching and my writing, that art is where the most complex social problems and traumas get worked through and processed, sometimes long before a culture is fully prepared to grapple with those problems and traumas in mainstream public discourse. Art is where we store, analyze, and hone our secret social fears and hopes, our desires and demons, long before we're ready to talk about them clearly or articulately on the news. Studying and teaching art for that reason is always political and always has the capacity to do real activist work. Moreover, the power of art to represent and immerse us in complex social problems exceeds and sometimes confounds what an author's or director's own vision may have been, because art takes on its fullest life once it interfaces with an audience. Sometimes.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?